Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lesboogie Jones, Professional Entertainment. And I want to let you know today I have some very, very special guests on the show today. This is Lesboogie 1on1, Beneath the Surface. And what we do is it's a talk variety show, a number of topics. We go from entertainment to sports, to politics, to health and wellness, to community affairs and events. And our current events of the day, you know what's going on out here. We're dealing with a pandemic, COVID-19 that has affected the world. We're dealing with police brutality and racism here in America. And on the panel today, my special guests are Miss Vannessa Jordon Gaston from the National R&B Music Society and Mr. Stuart Bascombe, also from the National R&B Music Society, as well as the group Black Ivory. And I'm really, really excited. You know, these people I've known for a while, and I'm very thankful that they decided to come on. We're going to talk a little bit about the pandemic. We're going to talk a little bit about them. But first, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to give a shout out to all of those that have lost their lives behind this incredible situation that we've all been through. And we want to just rest in peace to those, you know, who are no longer here. And we're here now to carry on for them. So with that being said, Vannessa, welcome to the show.
Stuart, hi, thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us. Good being here.
All right. Now, y'all don't know, this is a power couple right here. This is a power couple. They talk about Beyonce and Jay-Z. Well, this is our Beyonce and Jay-Z. All right, let's start with that. The National R&B Music Society, can you tell the audience all about that? How it started, what it represents, what's the mission, the whole nine?
Well, tell the truth, we started in a group chat. Yeah, back in 2007 on Amazon, on Awesome Soul Ballads. It was like a blog for Awesome Soul Ballads. And we were some diehard lovers of soul music, you know, rare music, soul music, R&B, you know, old school.
Right.
And we were on there just talking for about a year and a half, and I came up with the idea saying maybe we should start an organization. And so we threw out some names, and the vice president of the organization, I'm the president, and the vice president, well, we weren't anything then, we were just group members, and
right.
William Blackshear came up with the National Rhythm and Blues Music Society. So we say the National R&B Music Society as short, but it's the National Rhythm and Blues Music Society. And he came up with that and was like, wow, that's a great name. So after everything went fast, William Blackshear, who's the vice president, had a record shop. And that was our playground. We would be there. He had maybe like 20,000 45s, 50,000 LPs, that like old school record shop. Everybody was all over. We, you know, Denver, LA, Maryland, New York. So a few of us that was on the East Coast would go to Bill's shop and record shop. It was called Timeless Tracks Records in Roselle, New Jersey. Okay. And right after we came up with the name, everything went fast. Myself, Ophelia, and I think Bill, a few of us we incorporated the name. We went up to Trenton, and my son started the website, and then we were rolling. But we had our first throwdown, was the barbecue at the store. The first four were held at the store, shut that street down around the corner. And so it was like a great place to have the barbecue because of the record shop.
Oh, yeah.
That was in 2008. We incorporated in 2008. And I invited Ted. I thought Ted Mills, my ex-husband, was the drummer for Blue Magic. 78 to like 81. And so I knew Ted, and I said, you know what, let me invite Ted, because he was from around that area where the store was. And I said they would get a kick out of having Ted come. You know, Ted Mills from Blue Magic. And Ted came there, and he was like, oh my God, this is just so great. I got to be a part of this. You know, this is great. You know, people came from all over. And the youngest person, she was 19, white girl, blind.
Really?
Blind white girl. And when she told her mother she wanted to come to the R&B barbecue throwdown. We called it our first throwdown.
Okay.
They was like, what are you talking about? You know, she's blind, she's 19. You going where? And I think she's in North Carolina or South Carolina. And blind. And she would, you know, if you said we would play this game, you know, put on some music, and whoever the first few notes, somebody would say, oh, that's by so-and-so. She would say, no, that's the remake. The original was in 1967 by so-and-so and so, and this girl was 19. Wow. It was like, wow, so she was authentic, you know.
She knew her stuff.
Okay. Yeah, but it was a great feeling. About 40 of us got together, like I said, from all over that were on the blog. And like I said, Ted came, and Ted was like, I got to be a part of this. And we weren't really ready to move that quick. But when Ted said he wanted to be a part of it, I think that's when we went and got the website. I had my son do the website, because now we have to look official. That's when we got the website. Ted brought in some of his friends immediately.
Wow.
You know? And we made Ted was on the board at that time. We made him a board member as well. So after they just started rolling, I brought in people, other people brought in people, and because it's the National R&B Music Society, it's a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to preserving, promoting, and honoring classic soul, R&B music, and the legends who paved the way for today's artists from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Nice. Basically, okay. That's our niche, is the old school, to make sure that those people, that group, that era is represented and not forgotten. You know, the 60s and 70s produced more platinum albums and records than any other decade, and it was strictly because of those artists, Stylistics, Kool and the Gang, you know, Dramatics, all that soul music. Mm-hmm. And they never really got the respect due them, because during the 70s, when all that music was making, when the artists were making all that money for the record companies, they were taking that money and putting it into that pop artists and not back into the people who made the records, right? Who was bringing the money in.
Interesting.
And so we just don't want that to go under the rug. So that's our main thing, is to preserve, promote, and honor that music from that era and the legends who paved the way for today's artists. So it's a membership-based organization, and we have about 140 classic soul artists who are members of the organization.
Wow.
So, and we also have public members, public people in the public can also join, but it's a great organization. Yeah. Stu can speak on it. You were a founding member, Stuart.
Yeah, one of the founding members.
Yeah, Stuart. Your take. I mean, you're involved on two fronts. You're an artist, as well as a trustee of the National R&B Music Society. How important to you is this, and why did you get involved?
Well, we were approached, I think, first by Ted, back when they were starting. And he told us about it and asked us about it. But then Vannessa contacted us directly, and we started getting involved. We started seeing each other at different events. I think our first involvement was when they held the first gala. And I think the only one of us that attended at that time was Leroy Burgess. But the second gala, all of us attended. Okay. And have attended everyone since then. One of the most important things that has grown out of the society, Vannessa's already said that it's mostly a member-based society, an artist member-based society. Back in the 70s, when we first were performing, you know, we would see each other backstage, we perform, but there was no real sense of camaraderie between the acts.
Gotcha.
You know, of course, when the classic soul genre began to be played again back in around 1995, and we started seeing some of the groups that we hadn't seen since the 70s, you know, it started to become more of a family then. And I think that's probably one of the things that helped the society form and grow. And Al Goodman actually was a real large part of that, you know, because he believed that all of us were family and really should come together as family.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
One of the main things that happened was that we grew closer, and we began to really see that for R&B and soul to survive and continue on into the future, that we had to be proactive about promoting it. And the events, both the barbecue, the gala, and now we have an all-white dance party.
Yeah.
Helps bring us all together.
Summer concerts.
And the summer concerts helps bring us all together.
Mm-hmm.
Not only to work and make money, but also to keep the connection going between all of us. The internet and YouTube has really helped to preserve the music, because there's a lot of people from a younger generation that only get their exposure through YouTube, and other internet sources, because Lord knows they're not really playing the stuff on the radio much. After like the area in late '95, when they were playing the classic soul on the radio, it really has sort of dwindled down. Once in a while you hear something, at least in the New York area. I don't know what they're doing down in DC. DC has always been a little different.
Right.
Definitely blacker. But
the
society's been very important for getting gigs for the artists, helping them to promote new product, helping artists out that are in need. Vannessa's put a few people in contact with the R&B Foundation, who has a fund to help artists. So recently we lost Skip Mahoney in the Casuals, and I think Vannessa put Renee in touch with the R&B Foundation for whatever type of assistance that they can give.
Yeah, the R&B Foundation folded, but they still have money, and the only thing they could do with that money is give it to artists that are in need, or if you're sick or you need funeral. The only thing the money can go towards are the artists.
Yeah, because you know what, that was one of my questions I was going to ask, because I know that, you mentioned about how didn't get to just do at the time period. They put the money into the pop artists or what have you. And you know that a lot of artists struggle, they get older, they don't have the finances, the resources, so I think that's very important that, not only, if you don't have a pension or a union or something like that, and, and someone passes away, that's a burden. And there needs to be some help somewhere for these artists that really don't have the finances. It's good, but then again, it's sad to see a GoFundMe page when you're trying to put somebody away properly, and after the work and all of the sweat and blood and the tears that you put into this thing your whole life, and then you turn around and and you really don't have anything. That's a big concern. That's a big concern. Yeah. So if you're addressing that, I think that's excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah, there's money there. Like you said, the R&B Foundation is the Rhythm and Blues Foundation, so they still have money available. And when they call me, I put them in touch with that, because that's where we would like to be, to have enough money, to get money to help, artists who are in need, whether it be financial or sickness or, something to help over that hump. We would love to be in that position.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, especially in a time like now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, nobody's booking shows, nobody's putting on live events. If we had the funds available to us, we could be helping out the artists ourselves. So maybe that's something that we can really work on towards the future, towards building up a welfare fund for artists.
Absolutely.
And, Lord, forbid that we see something like this again, that we would be able to extend ourselves in order to help get the artists through to whenever,
at least some type of assistance, because who would have thought something like this would ever happen? Nobody ever saw this coming. I mean, this is something that, how can you prepare for something that you really never you know, you never thought would ever happen. We've never in my lifetime, and I know in yours, you've never seen anything like this. This is crazy.
Right.
You know, one of the questions, Vannessa, I want to ask you too is, let's go back. Where do you come from? What inspired you? I know you said your husband was a drummer for Blue Magic.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Vannessa.
Well, I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
From Bushwick area. I lived in Bushwick. Yeah. So, as a teenager, well, of course, I grew up with the music, and as a teenager, I was raised by my grandparents since I was 3 months old.
Okay.
So they were my parents. Even though I knew who my parents were, my grandparents were my parents because that's who raised me. But my father's side of the family had, you know, clubs, after-hour spots, and their friends had them. So as a teenager, I would go to my father's side of the family and hang out at the clubs or the after-hour spots, you know. And the artists, after they would perform at either Ecstasy, if you're familiar, anybody familiar with Brooklyn or New York, it was the Ecstasy, Town Hill 2. They would come hang out at the after-hour spot or one of the clubs. My father owned the Nice and Easy, him and his brother, on Kingston and Kingston Parkway. And my uncle and his friend owned Skips on Nostrand Avenue. So they would come afterwards and hang out. So I met Blue Magic, you know, Manhattans, the Whispers back in 77, 78, because they would come there.
But it was hot then. It was hot. It was hot at that time. It was real hot.
Yeah, they would come hang out afterwards, after the show. And my ex-husband became their drummer. So I had actually met Blue Magic first. He became their drummer. And that's when I, you know, met him. And like I said, by 80, that was in 78 when I met him. But by 80, I left New York. So, you know, got married, and because he was from Philadelphia. So I left and went with him, and I had 2 children with him. But he was with Blue Magic, and then he was with Frankie Beverly on the Rick James tour in 81. And then he went to the Stylistic. So I've known them for so long, and it's just, and then since knowing them, that was just something that I said, wow, I know these people. I met the Manhattans back then. And when we came up with the idea for the R&B, when I came up with the idea to start the organization, it just like went together. But in the 90s, I was doing promotion in Atlantic City.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my second husband.
Promoter, huh?
Yeah, DG Productions. We brought Aaliyah to, you know, we was doing Aaliyah, Brownstone, Changing Faces.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we was doing promotions that as a promoter. So, you know, promoters it's either feast or famine, you know, we lose 50,000 and then you get it. So it was like, okay, but this doesn't make sense. You know, it was feast or famine, you got it, and then you don't have it.
True indeed.
So, the music has always been there, even like way before that. Like I said, we was doing the music as promoters. So it was DG Productions. And, ended that because that was just can't.
It was crazy, right?
Can't lose
crazy business.
Y'all
know I know. You know I know.
So I said this. It got to be in the no risk business.
Yeah. So did you ever want to sing? Do you sing? Did you ever want to perform while you're an artist? A wannabe artist?
How I sing, babe. That's Stuart.
See Stuart holding his face.
He said, I have passion.
She loved to sing.
Got the passion. I feel you.
Passion, and I hear it often. But no, she really doesn't sing that well.
Okay.
Passion.
But
it's just so.
But the passion is strong, right? The passion is strong.
As much as I love it, as much as I love the music.
If she could sing, she would be like, you know, on top.
I got you.
Because she puts all her feeling in it.
Yeah.
You know.
No, can't sing. I do write. I do write, but I can't sing.
Okay.
Can't sing.
Any instruments?
I have an ear for music. I can hear what's.
Okay.
It doesn't. I don't know how I should be able to sing as much as I love it.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of promoters and people behind the scenes are really aspiring artists. You know that a lot of them are.
I don't even like to be interviewed.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't like to be interviewed. I'm like, no, you speak.
Right.
Stop my video for a second.
But it's very important that you do speak today because it's an amazing thing that you're doing, and people need to hear. You know, they might hear your name somewhere or whatever, or who's she, what does she do, or they might know you from that era. But these younger people, now this is what I want to get to.
Uh-huh.
The R&B Society, you are preserving the era that you talked about. But I've always thought about this, and I said, well, wait a minute, these people are getting older, right?
Right.
What do we do now? What do you do now moving forward, adding new artists? Do you plan on doing that?
Well, what we've done was starting to add the 90s. Because we have to have somebody to carry the torch, you know.
That's what I'm talking about, yes.
And we need them to bring in the people they know.
Gotcha.
You know, we were mainly focused on 60s, 70s, 80s. So now we have like a lore, the girls there from the 90s.
Okay, yeah.
And we have full force, even though they 80s, 90s, and Force MDs, and but they could bring in other people because they know younger people,
right.
You know, that younger generation. So we're definitely going to need younger people to carry the torch because we won't be here to do it. So we have to bring in people from the 2000s, the 90s.
Because you know what, the people from the 90s, they don't want to admit it, but they're old school right now.
They're old school too now.
They old school
right now.
When you
think about it, like New Edition is what, like 35 years.
Wow.
What are they? No, 83, from 83.
Right. That's a long time, you know.
I mean, New Edition, they just seem like kids to me, you know, and they old school too, so.
Right. I remember we had New Edition when they first started. We had them at the Fun House. Mm-hmm. My brother James actually had them at the Fun House when they was little kids. And it's a funny story. They were on stage. They wasn't that good. But you had the Force MDs in the audience. And Jesse then was like, look, Jimmy, man, let us just go up there and show these kids how it's done. And they went up there and they blew that place up. You know, but it was a good start. You know, New Edition is one of my favorites. But my favorite of all time, I have to tell you, is the Temptations. I'm a Temptation fan to the fullest, you know, in terms of those type of groups. Now, Stuart, I want to ask you a question. You and I want to also say something to you. Black Ivory has been in my life, in my generation, ever since I can remember, right? But you took over as the lead singer, right? Now, you know what's so funny? I didn't know that you had it like that because you was always in the background. And my brother, you were doing a phenomenal job, man. That voice, man. How could you sit on that for so long? How could you sit on that for so long, man?
I didn't really sit on it. You know, I've been blessed to be in a group with three very talented, creative gentlemen. All of us, you know, sing lead. All of us write.
Right.
And when we used to do our live shows, one of the things that we did, we all made sure that we had a song and the act that would give other people opportunity to sing.
Right.
Now, Leroy was the lead singer because his, you know, the genre, the sweet soul genre that we found ourselves moving into because of the success we had with songs like Don't Turn Around and You and I.
Right.
Leroy was the lead singer because he was the best. You know, so I mean, even though I could do it, my falsetto wasn't that good back then. But I still recorded it with it in background, or also singing lead on some of the songs like No One Else Will Do, which was the B-side of What Goes Around Comes Around. On the title song from the album Feel It, I sang falsetto lead on that. And then when Leroy left the group, I had to assume all the leads anyway.
Wow.
So when we got back together in 1995, one of the things that Leroy insisted on was that I continue singing the leads, you know, because he no longer wanted to perform.
Yeah, left in 77.
Right? Really? Okay.
He left in 77. You know, and had started singing almost exclusively in his natural voice, you know, doing dance music with Conversion, with Fantastic Aline, Slav. You know, he's had quite a few hits. As a matter of fact, he's very popular over in England, Europe. You know, England, France. He performs in Russia. You know, Germany, Norway, you know, all those places.
Nice.
But,
Nice.
so when we got back together in 1995, you know, it was determined that I was going to continue singing the lead. It was something that I had to grow into, you know, because I wasn't really used to being the front man. So I was a little nervous at first, you know.
It's understandable.
You had to get comfortable.
Had to get comfortable in it. But through God's blessings, you know, I've been able to hold it down, and people are enjoying it. You know, I'm more comfortable with it now.
The thing is, it's strange. It's weird, not weird now, but they all changed for a song where one was singing one part, now the other one sing. The great thing is they all can sing.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Yeah, yes.
Like in Will We Ever Come Together?
Right, songs that I used to have to sing the baritone or the third tenor part, but now that I have to sing the falsetto part, we've switched off. Now Russell sings my part.
Okay.
When we perform that song live,
Will We
and
Ever
I
Come
sing
Together?
the parts that Leroy originally sang.
They didn't lose the flavor of the songs, you know,
Right.
the original songs. They still there. So.
But they sound good. They sound fantastic.
And we have to mention they're like one of the only classic soul groups that have the same original members.
Absolutely.
That recorded the same exact one. So.
And we're still in the midst of celebrating our 50th year together.
Oh yeah, that's amazing, man. That's
a blessing.
Amazing. Salute to you, man. Vannessa, when we talk about groups, you've met a lot of groups, both of you. Give me your top 3 favorites, and Stuart, your top 3 favorites.
You gotta tell me which hour of the day.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Top 3. I'm only giving you 3.
It depends. What's today? I mean, right? I'm playing music all day. It's like
well, your top 3. Your top 3 classic.
Okay.
Soul groups. Let's put it like that.
Classic soul male groups. Okay.
Yes, males. Start with the males, and then the women. You can do the women too.
So hard. It changed. I was Blue Magic girl. I was a Blue Magic girl. So
okay.
Yeah. And not because my ex-husband was Blue Magic. I was already a Blue Magic fan.
Right.
I'm a little old, even though I this era that I want to preserve and promote and honor, I'm like on the baby end of it. Everybody else is like 7, 10, 12 years older than me.
Right.
But I was always ahead of, older for my age. You know, even though I was a teenager, I felt like I was in my 20s, and being that I was 19 when my husband was 30. So
wow.
When he was with Blue Magic, they were all 30, 31. So they were all 10, 12 years older than me. Then when he was with the Stylistic, then again, he grew up with them. He grew up on the same block as Arian with the Stylistic. So they all went to the same school.
Right.
But they were all 10 to 12 years older than me. So I really feel like I'm from that era. Like I was born in the 50s instead of the 60s. And
okay.
Now I lost my train of thought. He's talking about what?
He's talking about
I said all that
your
to
favorites. Your favorites. I can't let you get away.
Okay. Well, it was Blue Magic growing up. But I, stair steps.
5 stair steps.
Stair steps. That's my group. Stair steps. So let's do vocal groups. This would be like the Stair Steps, Blue Magic. Everybody else is like all together the same. It's the same because it's classic. So if you want to do bands, it's Sly and the Family Stone.
Okay.
Chicago. Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. Sure.
Kool and the Gang. Bands. War. The only reason there's 2 minutes. War. Mandrill.
I love Mandrill.
I can't. They all the same. It's all the same.
Yeah, we had so much great music.
I was also a Black Ivory fan, who wasn't. We're from New York. That was what we listened to.
That's right.
So they all was the same.
What about the female? Give me a female. Just one. Give me one, one or two.
Oh, Tina Marie's my girl. I love Tina Marie.
Oh,
but
yeah? Okay.
The groups is like the Honeycombs. First, the Honeycomb. First Choice, the Honeycomb. We're talking 70s. So, the guys outnumbered the girls.
They did.
It was just, yeah. Yeah, the Jones Girls. The Jones Girls.
Okay.
Yeah, those were, yeah.
Okay.
They were 79, 80 when they came out, even though they were performing like 10 years prior to that. They were doing background with Diana Ross, and they were traveling, but when they got their real break, it was like 78, 79, and that was like Tina too. So those were the girls.
Right. What about you, Stuart? Who was you listening to?
You and me are kind of like Coke and Pepsi. Because you already said that you were a Temptations fan. I was Four Tops.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I was definitely
we got a battle there, bro. We got a battle. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Their music was just...
To me, Levi Stubbs is one of the greatest vocalists of all times.
Really?
He sang with such sincerity, that you actually absolutely believed every word he sang. And then on top of that, they were blessed to have the team of Paul and Doja Holland writing for them, who to me were the real backbone of Motown. Between the hits that they wrote and produced for the Four Tops
and the
Supremes, they had
their catalog,
monster hits. The catalog is huge. Second favorite group is also the Stair Steps.
Okay.
From the start with their first record, "Danger She's a Stranger."
Blooded song.
I was a young kid, 13 years old, 1967, when it came out. Had aspirations to become a singer, and seeing this family of adolescents, young teenagers that are having success with their recordings and performing was really an inspiration for me. And they continued through the years, producing and writing and singing great music. And I think the third group that was also a huge inspiration for me and for the rest of the fellas in Black Ivory were the Delphonics.
Delphonics, absolutely.
Delphonics were like really huge.
They were bad.
Yeah. They were bad.
They had some cuts. Phyllis Hyman's my girl. I can't remember. I have to throw that in.
The music back then, I mean, we had it was like Baskin Robbins, man. Just pick a flavor. We had it all back then. I don't, today's music, I'm not going to say it's not good. What I'm saying is
you have
different.
To find
it's different, but I do know the difference in real instruments, real singers. I do know the difference because all you got to do is listen. If you can listen, there is a difference. The artistry was just really, just talent, period. We had all of the people that are icons, that became icons. They were young when I was young. You know what I'm saying? And you see them grow, and we grew with them. The Jackson 5, for one, is I remember 1969 being the PS111, and they came out with "I Want You Back." And as you talked about the 5 Stair Steps, we identified with the Jackson 5 simply because that was us. That was our age group, and we just watched them grow, and it was like, whoa, now everybody wanted to do that. So the music just was different. The talent to me was talent.
And not only in R&B and soul, we listened to everything back then.
Yeah, that's true.
We could listen. I just made a post. I said we went from Sly and the Family Stone. That was my too.
Unbelievable.
It's just too much. The Funkadelics, But I was just saying today on a post on the fan page that we listened from Sly and the Family Stone to the Carpenters back then.
That's
and
right.
It was like I don't think R&B music lovers listen to the Carpenters or listen to the Guess Who, Chicago, all those. True. It was just, a mixture of music. It was so diverse, and it was just all good. The Rascals, and
Yeah, that's right. And we used to listen to Cousin Brucey.
The Biddle.
Absolutely. Cousin Brucey.
Cousin Brucey. That's right.
WMCA. You have to remember that this was really before the advent of FM radio.
Yeah.
So most of the radio we listened to was AM stations and were the AM pop stations.
That's right.
And so we were really listening to the top 40 hits of the day, you know, back then. And it was so diverse, from Fat Boom to Hugo Montenegro to
Tom Jones. Tom
Jones.
My mother loved Tom Jones, boy.
Tom Jones, me too. I was a little girl and I loved Tom Jones. When I met him, I was like, well, okay. I met him like in 77.
So we grew up with a very rich tapestry of diverse music that we could draw inspiration from. You know, I didn't really talk about any of my favorite female artists, but one of the female artists that I grew up listening to, singing the songs, was Dionne Warwick. You know, she was probably my favorite. One of the records that I actually purchased myself as a kid. You know, so we found inspiration in voices like Dionne Warwick, but also compositions by Burt Bacharach and lyrics by Hal David. You know,
catalog there.
It's amazing, amazing. And all the rock groups, you know, and the thing is that the music itself was evolving. You know, I would hope that the turbulent times that we live in now, you know, with the worldwide protests, you know, and the pandemic, and a lot of the issues that helped inspire the artists of the late 60s to really compose and record some real groundbreaking, thought-provoking music. I hope that same type of thing happens now. Because music is become a little homogenized. Right. You know, one of the things is that record companies are risk averse. So they don't want to take a chance on something that may be a little different. You know, they try to stick to formulas in terms of the records that they release, even though there's a very large independent label base out there that you have to really look on SoundCloud and YouTube and things like that to really hear it. But you're not hearing it on commercial radio. You know, the radio stations now are run by conglomerates.
Three states over.
Right. They have the same top 40 playlist. DJs are not in control of what they play. In fact, there's not really any.
Big
really
difference.
Not DJs anymore. They're radio personalities that get their playlist from the music director or program director, who gets his marching orders from the office. You know?
Big difference now.
So back in the day, you used to have guys like Von Harper. We could walk into WBLS with your demo, and he would listen to it, and if he really wanted to give it a shot, or Frankie Crocker, you know, they would break a record, you know, and if that record became a hit, then that would become the formula.
That's right. That's right.
You know, but you don't have those same opportunities today.
The thing about music, then, well, not just, music and the culture has always gone hand in hand. And when James Brown said, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud," we believed it, right? We had message music, we had love music, we had dance music, we had funk music. And it's like today, it's just the words, the lyrics. So what I'm trying to say is, back then we had the love, we had the messages, and we had the we say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. You heard that, you hear that 100 times. I'm black and I'm proud. Now you just hear, and I'm gonna be a little. Let me hit it from the back. Music and culture produces the society.
But back then I was a real big Funkadelic fan. And, you know, they've had a few recordings in my room, on my grandma.
You and me both.
You know, things like that. And it's not inspiration.
You know, it becomes repetitive.
Yeah.
You know, you hear something.
It's the same thing over and over.
Yeah. You know, being creative and writing what they know. But it's no balance. We had balance. Yeah. You know, there were songs that was like, ooh, like Stuart was saying, you can't. But then you had the love songs and you had the funk songs, you had the dance songs. when there's no balance, and that kind of make it seems like it's systematic to me. It's done.
It is.
On purpose.
It is. It's definitely done on purpose.
Because music play a huge role in the culture, in society.
If you look at the youth and look at the music, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, we seen Black Ivory with those big afros, and we wanted afros too.
That's right.
Right. They wearing their pants hanging down. They wearing their pants hanging down.
That's right.
So it's almost seemed like it's done on purpose to keep good stuff out. You got to find the good stuff today. You got to search.
You know what? That brings me to a question. With the National R&B Music Society. Do you see yourself inducting or having rap artists as future members at some point in time? Not these young kids, but the LL Cool J's and the Snoop Dogs and these people. How do you see that?
Well, we basically we start like Kumo D, he's a member. Kumo D. Okay, that's my man. Yeah. Houdini, they're members. Kumo D, Houdini. Who else is like that? Oh, Sugar Hill Gang, like that. Right. Yeah. So but I just don't the gangster rap.
You're not with that.
But LL Cool J, of course, we would love for him to be a member.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gangster rap is
it's a whole nother.
When I really kind of start not listening, because particularly during the time, it was very community, African-centered consciousness. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to hear music about glorified guns and truck sales and hoes. To me, that was sort of a de-evolution of Black music. To be honest, when it first came out, and I was right there on 125th Street at the record store when in rap's infancy. Matter of fact, a lot of the DJs and rap artists used to come into the record store, to buy their beats. Mm-hmm. And I was living in the South Bronx at the time, so I was right there at the very beginning. But if somebody had told me back in 1978, 1979, that rap would still be around with us today, and I wouldn't have believed it. But one of the things that it did do that was very positive is it did give a lot of young, aspiring, creative people an avenue that they would not have had. True. Because they couldn't sing. True. They didn't play an instrument. Right. But they were still creative.
They were creative.
And they were storytellers. But when it evolved from toasting, bills, as opposed to this dude over here, and it moved in, and then when it evolved from some positive Black consciousness, like KRS-One and Public Enemy,
Eric B,
Eric B, and when it moved more into what I would consider a negative flow, I think we kind of lost it. But it was reflective of the time.
But and it was reflective of the time because their voice.
Because the 80s was very devastating for the Black community. The crack epidemic.
Yes. That's right. That's true. Absolutely.
So
a lot of people voice what they know,
Yeah. Right. Well, that's what you should be talking about is what you know,
Right.
That's what you should be really.
Right. And I don't knock it, but it's about balance. That's the thing. It's about balance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But see what the companies did, the record companies did, that's all they wanted. They put that out. They put the money behind that.
Right.
That's what really changed everything because there's two sides to every story. You can have what you've been through, but then there's also, what's the hope side? Because there's people that have come out of that as well that, want to tell their story too, but that's all, that's too soft. Now,
I'm for people speaking their truth and what they, You don't want to tie people's hands behind their back and tell them to be creative. Yeah. No, they have to be who they are. But it comes down to balance. Just comes down to balance because if that's all you hear and you think that's all it is, for younger people growing up, that's it.
And that's and that's another thing. That's another thing with this whole society that we live in. First of all, the media controls what's put out there. We don't control it. As people of color, we don't control it. They control it. So when they see these things and they hear that, they think that we're all like that.
Right.
And you kind of can't blame them, especially if they haven't had any contact with a particular race or person or whatever. And you keep seeing the same image over and over. I remember someone telling me that a young lady was coming from Honduras or something, and they was given some film to like give them a little education about what America's about. And they showed a picture of a black guy with his pants hanging down. Oh, stay away from them. So if you've never had that experience, you come here and you thinking, well, the minute you see one of us, that you think we're all like that.
Yeah, and just because a person have their pants hanging down don't mean they're a bad person.
But that's what they're telling them.
That's
what they're telling. They want us to be looked like that. We got to learn how to control. Not, we have to. We're never going to take everything over, but we have to get in control of our own content. We have to push our own content. That's what I believe.
I'm going to say.
But I can go hold another story with that. But go
ahead. Exactly, and this is a whole nother hour and a half of
right.
speaking. We can talk about that.